What's an ACH? We'll delve into the world of ACH, providing an explanation of the 4 different types of ACH transactions. We'll include many real-life examples so you can not only understand how ACH works, but also see how you can use ACH in your own business operations as well as your personal life. Are you tired of tedious manual processes and endless paperwork associated with paying paper checks? Then this is the session for you. Make sure you stick around until the end when we share some surprising ways you can use ACH to make your life, both personal and professional, simpler while spending less time paying bills. Hey guys, I'm Mary Schaefer, founder of AP Now, the place where you go for all the latest business intelligence you need if you work and manage or have responsibility for the accounts payable and or payment function. Let's dive right in. ACH. ACH stands for Automated Clearinghouse. When we say ACH, I'll pay you with an ACH, for example, we really mean ACH transactions. There are 2 common methods of electronic funds transfer that facilitate the movement of money between different bank accounts that utilize the ACH. They are credits and debits. An ACH credit transaction refers to a transaction in which the funds are deposited electronically into the recipient's account by the payor. The most common example of this, one which many of you will be familiar with, is direct deposit of payroll. And hopefully everyone who's listening who receives a salary is taking advantage of this. The other very common example is direct deposit of Social Security payments. Now, more recently, organizations have been using this mechanism to pay their suppliers instead of paying with a paper check. If, as a consumer, you are using online banking, your bank, in all likelihood, is using ACH credits to pay some of your bills, especially to larger providers such as utilities, the phones, credit card companies, etc. ACH credits eliminate the need for a physical check or cash, providing a faster, more convenient way to transfer funds. How do ACH credits work? Now, if I lose you in this part, don't worry. It's just the technicalities, which most of us don't really have to know, but if you work in the payment world, you might like to know. When initiating an ACH credit transaction, the sender authorizes their bank to transfer a specific amount of money from their account to the recipient's account. The sender's bank then forwards payment instructions to the ACH network, which acts as a central clearinghouse, if you will, for processing the transaction. The ACH network verifies the sender account details and initiates the transfer of funds to the recipient's bank account. The recipient's bank receives the funds and credits them to the appropriate account, completing the ACH credit transaction. An important point for everybody to be aware of: the funds typically arrive in the recipient's bank account the day after the transaction is made if you're using what is considered traditional ACH, which is what most of you will be using or have been using up until this point. ACH debits are a little different, and this is not something that most Americans are used to dealing with. Okay. ACH debits involve transactions in which the funds are electronically withdrawn from a person's bank account or pulled from a person's bank account or a business bank account to pay for goods or services. And that transaction is initiated by the person or entity receiving the funds. If you authorized your bank to debit your account for a mortgage payment, let's say, or if you allow your utility or insurance company to automatically hit your account for their monthly bill, then this is the mechanism they're likely using. How do ACH debits work? Again, if we lose you for a few seconds, no worries, okay? It's not critical that everyone understand the intricacies of this, but you might want to. So, to initiate an ACH debit transaction, the recipient should obtain sender's authorization to withdraw the funds from their bank account. This authorization is typically given by the sender through means such as signing an agreement or providing bank information for electronic billing to the appropriate party. Once authorized, the recipient creates an ACH debit entry specifying the amount to be debited and the sender's bank account detail. The recipient's bank then processes the ACH debit, deducting the specified amount from the sender's account and transferring it to the recipient's account. Be aware, that banks do not verify that this permission was obtained, nor do they verify that the amount that was taken was authorized. Important point. Like credits, funds typically arrive in the recipient's bank the day after the transaction was made if you're using traditional ACH. Now, not everyone was happy with the speed of payments that they arrived when they were using traditional ACH. Traditional ACH transactions took at least one day, and occasionally they took several days. The introduction of same-day ACH has changed that. Same-day ACH allows for faster availability of funds by enabling same-day processing of certain ACH transaction. There are certain limitations. Not all ACH transactions are eligible for same-day ACH, and availability may vary depending upon the financial institution and the specific ACH network used. It's important to verify with your bank or your payment processor to ensure that same-day ACH is an option for your specific needs if you choose to use it, and to understand associated fees or cutoff times for initiating these transactions, okay? Because they're going to cost a little bit more than traditional ACH. It's important that you note that same-day ACH does not mean instantaneous ACH. It simply means that the funds will be there by the close of business. So when you look at your bank account at 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning, noon, it may not show up, but it will be there by the end of the day. As of June 2023, there is $1 million limit on same-day transactions, and the same-day ACH can operate in one of two ways. This is how we get to 4 types of ACH. There are ACH credit transactions that can be sent and received on the same business day. This is great for payroll transactions, either for providing that last paycheck in case of a sudden termination, or for fixing an error that may have occurred on the original payroll payment. Same-day ACH can be also used for emergency payments, rush payments, and payments needed to make a cutoff deadline for, let's say, an early payment discount. Because as you're probably aware, suppliers are much less forgiving than they used to be if you pay after the early payment date and you take the discount. Same-day ACH debits, another methodology. These are ACH debit transactions that can be processed and settled on the same business day. This allows for expedited bill payments and other types of payments where immediate settlement is required. For example, an ACH debit on the part of a utility might be an excellent way to prevent service from being cut off if you are in danger of that happening. Now, it's important to note that same-day ACH availability will depend on your financial institution and the ACH network that's used. And additionally, financial institutions will in all likelihood charge fees for same-day ACH transactions. So check with your financial institutions regarding the settlement and the cost so you know exactly what you're getting into. And as pointed out, but I want to make it clear, same-day ACH is clearly going to cost more than a traditional ACH, but it's still going to be far less expensive than a wire transfer. Now, what I call important point, and just something for you to be aware of and keep in the back of your mind. There will be certain instances where the payee will not want to receive an ACH payment, be it same day or traditional settlement. Typically, it is not used in a situation, for example, a real estate purchase, where finality of payment is a concern, okay, because, title is transferred upon receipt of the funds. When paying with an ACH credit traditional, an ACH debit traditional, an ACH credit same day, or a same day ACH debit, it's important to check out in advance to make sure you know if it can be handled and how it will be handled, and of course the cost. Well, same-day ACH can be used to handle rush and ASAP payments. In an ideal world, you would never need to make such payments. But, none of us live in that ideal world. Now, there are ways that you can minimize such payments. We recently did a talk on that issue, and we have a short video, which you can watch right now using a link that will appear momentarily on your YouTube screen and is in the description below. As always, we appreciate your thumbs up as they help us grow, because the more thumbs up and comments we get, the more YouTube shares this recording with other professionals just like you who might like it. So a big thank you to everybody who takes the time to click the like button.